I want you to tell me about either Josh moving in this a time when you moved into space and you were struck with inspiration and it changed the plan, right? Or Katie Rose, when you were watching or directing and Josh did something and you said, no, we're making a change here, right? So I want that lightning in a bottle. I want that, hey, whoa, we have to change what we're doing, right? I want a little anecdote about that. And while we are talking about that, I've got a question that I'd like to hear from each of you. So as quarantine continued, your pieces got longer, right? The mask study number 1, or is it just mask study 1? I don't know. I want to be appropriate. Okay, cool. Is like 2 minutes and 49 seconds. But later on, we've got like a 2-hour live stream. You've got like all these much longer videos. What was behind that? What was going on there? And what were the impacts on like your physical endurance and just how you felt while you're doing it? And so maybe I'll let Josh go first on that while Katie Rose thinks about an inspirational moment, and then we'll flip flop.
Great, yeah, no problem. So we had this space, and in many ways we had to teach ourselves how to learn how to use it. Which is why we were doing all those studies. They were short, mostly pre-recorded ways to figure out how to use movement in the space, how to use sound, how to set up lighting. And I was teaching myself this technology, these video processing software, pieces of software at the same time. So that's why we were working so small at the beginning. We always had in mind that we wanted to move to live and move to bigger pieces. But it's almost like going to grad school or undergrad. We kind of like broke down our practice and said, okay, well, let's just do basics first. And it took us many pieces to even figure out how to talk and how to use dialogue in this closet, because it just took us that amount of time to figure out how to get a sound system working in here. So, now we're working on much longer pieces, and we've got a second closet like 10 blocks away that another actor is going to be in. And so it just keeps expanding, and we just keep figuring out like, okay, can we teach ourselves this new tool? Was that successful? Was it not? What can we fix about that? And it's trial and error from there, but that's been the process. And the more we keep touching base and understand what we're learning when, is when we're really successful in moving forward.
And we're also really, really dedicated to experimentation, to actually taking the thought experiment 5 steps down the road to see what happens. And again, because we're working on a small scale, we can just do it, look at it, and then be like, oh, that's great, or like, oh, that's terrible. Let's never do that idea. And here's why, because it breaks these rules, because it looks, we lose the liveness. So let's make sure and so there actually are some rules that we have now also, where we're like, these things sort of break the magic of the space.
I really love that. And what I like about this as, an example of a way to get into a new spot is you're going in and you're just moving around the space and trying to break things and just getting into it. And then that's slowly building up your vocabulary of things that you can use. And I really want to see you, Josh, and the person 10 blocks away in the same closet at some point, but not in the same closet because I don't want you to get COVID.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Katie Rose, can you tell us about your answer to that question that we
I would love to.
Yeah.
Josh, I'm going to talk about Plex, but what I'm first going to do is I'm going to make Josh go through. So again, the way we work is experimentation. And so we were making a short form piece for our Closet Work series, which is just small movement pieces, which sometimes make their way into larger pieces. It's just a chance for us to really just explore. And Josh put a hole in the side of the closet so he can, you'll see shortly, there he is, so he can do this. So we made a whole piece.
That's my new favorite thing about this closet.
You don't know it's there, and so we made a whole piece, that involves Josh going in and out. We were flipping the camera, so he looked like he was like coming from the floor, like dropping down. Sometimes it looked like he was like coming up from a tunnel. But the hole is like just small enough that it really beats him up. So there was that. There were lots of bruises that were happening, which I felt really bad about. And we never like, the piece just like wasn't coming together. And we had the show. This was Sunday night. The show was on Monday. And we were just like, it's not there. And we could do it, but we won't be happy with it. Also, it's so physically exhausting. Like, I think we need to not do it, which was such a big, to rehearse for 2 weeks. We were on a 2-week schedule then. We had spent 2 weeks rehearsing this thing, and we were just like, no. And so Josh was like, oh, I have this piece of technology. And Josh, are you going to do it? Is that what you're doing right now?
I was getting a chair, but
Oh.
I can flex.
Josh was like, okay, crazy idea. I have this piece of technology. We've never used improv. I'm a choreographer who like sort of meticulously choreographs things. And so what I did is I just recorded a score where I was basically like, Josh, imagine that you're going through the closet like it's popcorn. And then like, imagine that you're underwater now. And so I gave him these like verbal cues that he listened to live. He didn't listen to it beforehand. And then he just put this piece of technology on and just improvised. We call them klexographic studies, klexography being the art of ink blots. And these are actually like some of our favorite pieces that we've ever made. And they came out of like failure, like just pure failure. And we're so happy with them.
I love that. That is really cool.